Lyra in terms of sustain, having the heal available right off the bat, whereas Grace has to wait until level 6. Blackfeather going to be taken off the board, heavily contested pick. It's going to be rare to see Blackfeather actually on the fold, especially in Europe, I think, for at least a few weeks because of the emphasis that's going to be put onto it. Now with the pedal ban by Fnatic, this is strange because usually, again, pedal ban means they want to play Krull, but usually this is a B-side ban because you have the next pick. By banning away the pedal, I guess this is probably going to be like a mind game type of thing of trying to say, Dynasty, do you want the Krull? Like, you have to think about it.
I mean, they played mind games in draft number 1. You expect the same thing here. It's going to be an interest lock-in for Dynasty.
I mean, so the pedal ban was so that if Dynasty pick up Celeste with the Lyra, as or Fnatic did the first game, they would have been able to pick Krull against it. But now it's not the scenario. Dynasty went for CP Idris. I'm most likely expecting this to be. Fnatic has many options. They can go for the Celeste again. It pairs greatly with Grace, and they have a range advantage in that scenario. Or they go for the Jewel. That could very possibly be a weapon power Jewel like we saw yesterday.
Yeah, we saw it do amazing things yesterday, so it could be a pretty fun one from Fnatic. Obviously, they could also round out the composition with a Krull, but that would be super risky with the triple melee situation. So I would expect them to go for something maybe a little bit more range, maybe something like the Samuel could come out again. Obviously, the Jewel is going to be... Oh, they are going to go for the Krull. So, I mean, this is opening them up to maybe challenge Rikumeza, say, does Rikumeza play this Rhyme? Because the triple melee, this is inviting a Rhyme pick to come through.
What do we think about this Jewel pick then? Because alongside a Krull, you're always going to see Krull go weapon power. Is there an argument for CP Jewel here, or is it that definitely just going to be weapon power as well?
It's not always going to see Krull weapon power. We saw a couple utility Krulls last season. They didn't do amazingly well, but it is a possibility.
I do think this Fnatic composition is going to be double weapon power with Jewel being weapon power too. Why it's going to work so great is if Idris is CP, Idris takes some time to wrap up and become that strong carry that he is. So if Jewel applies the pressure that she can, get a turret, get a kill, get some map advantage, they can do great.
Not only that, but even once you get to the late game, the CP Idris, if you just get hit by a stray Thunder Strike, that's going to be about 3/4 of his health taken off because he's not going to have that defense. And they're going to go with a Taka from Dynasty. So taking a triple melee and just not taking the triple melee counter of the Rhyme is
Taka
surprising.
is a character that we have not seen for a very long time, but why it works so great against Jewel is because if he uses his ultimate on Jewel, he will end up behind her, removing the advantage that her perks give her with the defense on the front side. So it's a pick that can work against Jewel, but at the same time, it's very risky because it's going up against a Krull. I expect if Krull plays aggressive and goes into the jungle, he can completely shut down Taka.
The one advantage Taka does have against a Krull, though, is once he starts building up those weakness stacks, you pop into a Kaku, all of a sudden he can't use that Spectral Smite against you any longer, and you can wait until those stacks wear off. So that's one interaction that we're going to have to really keep our eyes on, is going to be those weakness stacks.
This is definitely going to be a battle of the junglers, I think it's fair to say. This Taka, an interesting pick, but it's definitely a pick that you can take over a game if you can build up a bit of a lead, if you can snowball with this. But a lot of the pressure going to be on Rikumeza's shoulders. We've been saying how he's this jungler that's trying to become a more aggressive player. If you want to be an aggressive player, Taka is definitely the pick for it.
Yeah, it is. And I still expect Fnatic to take this one. Based on how they played the first game and based on this draft, they have clear advantages that they can use. If they stick to their camp plan, I expect them to take this serious.
All right, so Fnatic advantage. Do you agree with that one, Bacon?
Yeah, I agree, just because there's nothing to deal with this triple melee on the side of Dynasty. Like, they're going to be able to just jump onto this Idris, and there's no answer. The only sort of answer they have is going to be that Lyra Bulwark, but if they're already in your face, the Bulwark's not going to get them away.
All right, well, we'll see whether they're going to be able to get them away. We want you guys to get involved on social media as well. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. Let us know who you want to take this series. Can Fnatic turn this into a 2-0, or a Dynasty going to pull things back on in? It's time to get on into the game. Dowsy and the Source, take it away.
Thank you very much, Munchables, and a very exciting matchup to come out of these two teams. Very interesting draft as well, as you see that Taka joining us on the Halcyon fold for Rikumeza. And I'm suspecting this might be a weapon power Tucker as well. We saw in 2.8 Source the Spell Sword come into play, a new item that provides cooldown reduction, energy regen, and a lot of weapon power as well. Kind of makes this weapon power Tucker a little bit more viable again, and with a CP Idris, I think that Dynasty have some form of win condition that they can execute. Kite, blow up Jewel, and get that CP Idris to a 9 Broken Myth stack so he can take over.
Yeah, the damage is definitely going to be there for Dynasty if they reach that point in the game. I think their only concern is that they may not have the survivability. A lot of this is going to be on Mobley to land those Bright Bulwarks. The moment that, you know, either the Benediction is starting or any of these gap closers. There's so many gap closers with the Rocket Leap and the Dead Man's Rush. As soon as either of those is kind of started, you like Mowgli has to almost predict them.
We've kind of teased that we feel this will be a double weapon power composition coming out of Fnatic. Techno JJ on this Jewel. We saw Jewel come out for Hammy in the yesterday's North American Vainglory 8 games. Fairly successful coming out in North America, able to kind of just blow up these squishy CP mages that are popular in the meta. Cruel here as well has had so much success since the rise of Tension Bow, and you know, will be able to really reduce the damage output of the Idris if he gets on top of him. Has the CC as well provided. Lots of CC with this triple melee composition, and you know, we've talked a lot about CP Idris here and item progression, whether you should go Frostburn or Shadowglass, and I think that this is one of those games where Frostburn almost seems like the necessary item for Dynasty to have any form of kiting ability.
I just generally believe in Frostburn at this point. I like being able to kite things for free. It's way too much fun when you're playing an Idris, and it lends Idris a level of mobility that, you know, puts you in the same vein as something like a Petal. Petal's got a Frostburn. There's just this ability to continuously be kiting your opponents, and up against all this triple melee like you mentioned, it's going to be key, especially after that initial jump. Assuming that he survives and the Bright Bulwark stops some of the momentum, the Imperial Sigil comes out and keeps him alive, PT Lamb is going to need to still play out of his mind even once he has the Frostburn to stay alive.
Have to see how Rikomeza performs with a weapon power Tucker, currently going towards that Tension Bow and then a likely Spell Sword to come through. Makes the Tucker, you know, with the cooldown reduction, the energy regen, almost as threatening as a CP Tucker. That's the main benefit of it, is that you have that cooldown reduction in a weapon power item, and now the likes of Glaive and Tucker can be as threatening with their kind of utility aspects as their CP counterparts. Palmatoro gonna come on in. Looks like Rikomeza pretty happy to just space on out of there with this invis. Honestly, have to be a little bit careful because Fnatic aren't quite done with their aggression. They haven't quite found the aggression they need to really start fights at the moment. So it's more just about threatening and poking down Dynasty.
Yeah, and Palmatoro is a little bit ahead, and they will die.
Okay, just about. Doesn't quite block the Spectral Smite, but able to walk away nonetheless.
So I was saying Palmatoro is a little bit ahead in terms of farm, is now doing a little bit of counter jungling, but you see Rikomeza over in his side of the jungle doing the same, so that will be stalled out a little bit, but there's a bit of an advantage for Palmatoro in that sense, so a little bit faster on the jungle clear because of all of the pressure that Dynasty has been looking for in the lane. They've been looking to catch somebody out, maybe find the gank, but they don't have a massive amount of crowd control to really facilitate that. So they're really banking on Fnatic to be a little bit out of position. Now, it's a triple melee composition. People will be diving forward. That is likely to happen. But I think Dynasty, you know, might want to slow it down a little bit and wait for Idris to get an item or two.
Very interesting to see a single crystal bit purchased here for Rikomeza. He's completed his Tension Bow, but maybe going to go towards more of an on-hit effect Tucker build, maybe an Aftershock afterwards, and then from there a Storm Crown, a Broken Myth, a Spell Sword. So many different options available to the Tucker, but truly will be hybrid seemingly coming through. There's that X-Retsu going out, lots of damage going down onto Jewel, but Palmatoro is here, stuns up, Bright Bulwark stops Techno JJ from getting in. They've kept Rikomeza alive as well. The Fountain well, not even a fountain, it was a sigil coming through. Mowgli once more committing to the Crucible first item, able to get Rukameza out safely.
Yeah, Techno JJ took a lot of damage very, very fast. Rukameza, we're starting to see how much damage you can get out of a tension bow up against a Jewel who hasn't built any defenses, but here comes the dive again, and a nice Imperial Sigil to stop, or right bulwark to slow that down.
Yeah, no, Mowgli has to be on point with those bright bulwarks. Cooldown reduction, name of the game for Mowgli, not only due to the fact that he's stacking health, so he can output as high of a heal as possible, but also just because if he doesn't have that bright bulwark up and available for every engage that comes out for Fnatic, then it's going to be trouble for his very squishy two teammates. The Tucker and the Idris not really going to be super tanky in their own right. PT Lamb has that Frostburn as discussed. Definitely a must in this game, it feels. Looks like he's going to be heading back and starting towards that alternating current as we usually see come through, but I think it's Rukameza that I'm most interested in focusing on build-wise and seeing where he decides to go after this.
Yeah, I mean, picking up a reflex block is good into that much crowd control. I still really want to see the spell sword. I definitely think you're right that the on-hit makes a lot of sense, but as long as Rukameza is surviving throughout the fight because there's some weapon power in there, that's a good Holy Nova to start things off, but we'll follow.
Palmatora. Ooh, it's threatening when he comes in like this. Very scary. See the min candy popped. Rukameza has himself the reflex box, so obviously respecting the ability for Palmatora to come in and just immediately stun him up with the From Hell's Heart.
So no engagements just yet, but Palmatora is waiting in the wings, is looking for the opportunity to strike onto PT Lamb. I definitely think that Rukameza might be a slightly better target. Yes, Taka's really difficult to deal with, but if they take him out, right now PT Lamb I don't think has the damage to finish off those fights long term. So getting that grouped up CC is definitely good if Netalite can land solid crowd control. Actually, they want to go onto Techno JJ.
Yeah, certainly do. Techno JJ going to take a bit of damage. Hell's Heart going to go out. Bright forward, they're going to defend Dynasty from any re-engage from Fnatic, and that's a lot of CC just eliminated by Dynasty's ability to escape here. Able to now hold control over the lane. The Bright Bulwark 7 seconds away. Rocket jump comes back up for Techno JJ. There's the dive by Rukameza onto the turret, going to get the heal and just escape away. Fnatic, another re-engage, just not doing anything to them. Dynasty looking very confident in this game so far.
Yeah, Fnatic hasn't been able to find that solid engagement, although that is a bit of damage onto Mowgli.
Love it, just pops down the sigil and takes the Thunder Strike like a champ. Every time that sigil's up, he's very confident to do so. Here comes Rukameza. Who's he going to go for? Palmatora diving on in with Techno JJ, but Rukameza onto this cruel. He's in trouble, but he's going to get the Divine Intervention to heal him on up. Rukameza looking to get back out of the fight is just about able to. It's not going to be a too impactful big red button. PT Lamb diving on in, the chakrams firing all over, but Rukameza gets stunned on up, and that's his death. First blood going to Techno JJ. Too much aggression coming from Dynasty. They're looking like they're going to get themselves a turret nonetheless.
Yeah, good play out of Dynasty to be able to at least salvage the death from Rukameza. I thought Rukameza might have been a little aggressive to go in there again. They clearly had forced Palmatora to back, or at least step away from that fight. He was very, very low. He actually looked like he was going to go back in a third time and pick that fight again. But we still haven't seen Fnatic really make solid use of their composition. They managed to get that kill off of over-aggression from Rukameza, but they haven't been able to find the engagement. And if Dynasty can continue to just stall out and frustrate the members of Fnatic, eventually they will make a mistake and overcommit on a heavy, heavy engagement.
Currently, with that one kill, Fnatic keeping the gold fairly even. We do have to see how Dynasty continue to develop this game. The Eclipse Prism in Rukameza's inventory, signaling that he will go towards the Aftershock. There it is, completed. Now, Fnatic lurking in the shadows, spotted out by Mowgli. They're not going to be able to get any surprise attacks here onto Dynasty, but they're looking even more confident than before. This Tornado Trigger now for Techno JJ gives a lot of damage to the Jewel.
Yeah, and Fnatic have been continuing to just kind of walk forward into this. They don't feel confident that they can hard engage onto Mowgli on the Lyra, which you would think with this triple melee composition, the amount of damage they have reasonably built up, that's a tension bow, sorry blade, that should be enough to get the job done. But they're really just looking for that opportune moment to find out either PT Lam or Riku Meza. And again, I think if they take Riku Meza out of the fight, PT Lam becomes a much easier target for them to deal with, or they can just disengage that and then look for an objective. If you know that the Taka is off the board, that makes some of the jungle objectives more valuable. You can go for that gold miner, maybe even body into the enemy jungle and go for the crystal sentry. So taking Riku Meza off the board, I think, opens up the competition for Fnatic, because they don't have to worry about Riku Meza flanking them or stealthing out and then showing back up in the middle of the team.
Very interesting to see that Riku Meza are going to be prioritizing crystal infusions this game as well. More cooldown, energy regen, bit of crystal power as well to get himself even more damage, I guess, on that X-Retsu. Currently, Dynasty happy to let this gold miner go over to Fnatic. Fnatic wait out that sigil, which means there can't be any steal. That's a huge gold swing over towards Fnatic. 1200 gold, but Dynasty looking like they want to engage the fight. Look at the damage already onto Tenno. JJ, he's in trouble, but a stun comes through onto PT Lam. Looking to turn this fight, Palmatoro onto this Idris, but he's going to Shimmer Strike. Riku Meza trying to deal with Tenno JJ. He does find the kill, and now Palmatoro now has to escape, trying to do his best, but he's going to go down. PT Lam finds the kill, and Dynasty going to punish Fnatic for that gold miner take.
The new value of Taka in 2.8, you have that Mortal Wound built into the X-Retsu. You've got that high amount of cooldown reduction to be able to apply that multiple times on the multiple targets. And we saw the Divine Intervention didn't get that much value. Techno JJ got bursted very, very hard, and the Fountain came through. That didn't keep him alive either. He used pretty much everything he had to try and DPS through that, and they used as much of the additional sustain that they had on the side. And we are going to go into replay, and you can just see how little value that the additional healing is coming out. We did see off screen that PT Lam did go down. Riku Meza looked like he was in trouble, but managed to scurry away.
Yeah, just about gets away. PT Lam a little bit too happy to stick around after that turret was taken, and does open up the door for Fnatic to try and take one of their own. Riku Meza going to do his best. PT Lam deleted! Where did he go? He is gone. Riku Meza now looking to turn onto Palmatoro as well. Look at the burst coming out, resetting his tension bow, resetting his aftershock, and here he comes one more time for the X-Retsu to take him on down. PT Lam going to join the fight. Riku Meza going to be very happy to jump on in with Dynasty. They take down 2. What can they take? Looks like they might go for a Crystal Sentry. Or a Gold Miner. Go for a Gold Miner instead.
We are starting to see, though, that Palmatoro survived that fight way too long. There wasn't enough damage from Riku Meza to finish the job with just 2 items. So, whether or not Riku Meza actually picks up a 3rd damage item before finishing out some of those defenses, we can see over the course of the fight that Riku Meza can't finish the job. Now, they are able to completely destroy Techno JJ. He is very, very vulnerable to the amount of damage that is coming out of this Taka. It's difficult for him to item prioritize. He's currently still holding that Book of Eulogy, so maybe looking at a lifesteal item, I think that'll probably go away and be traded in for another defensive item at the moment. But Techno JJ is pretty much at the damage we can expect him to be at. So he has to start surviving these fights, because we pretty much haven't seen Techno JJ do all that much, and this triple melee composition has been unable to really engage the fights. It's Mowgli who's starting things up.
Yeah, certainly. You kind of saw in the draft that it almost felt like Fnatic were baiting Dynasty to go towards the Rhyme pick, and that would put them in an interesting position. Do they go double CP with a CP Idris, or do they kind of put PT Lam on a less favorable pick? The weapon power Idris would have done very poorly into this composition. Instead, Dynasty have other plans. This Taka being so impactful. Riku Meza is going to rejoin his team, make sure this first turret doesn't fall. It's a 2,000 gold lead for the side of Dynasty at the moment, and we're just 15 seconds away from the Kraken respawning.
Yeah, this Taka definitely feels like a good confident pick out of Riku Meza. Definitely knows how to play it well, but Fnatic seem a little flustered. They don't know how to really handle where they want to prioritize their defensive CC, the holding over for the peel. They haven't been able to actually get a solid engagement. Every time that they're looking for it, Mowgli is able to sneak in there and start things up. Has used the Arcane Passage, so that'll be down for a while, slowing what is basically the engage for Dynasty is Mowgli goes in, locks somebody down, stops all that movement and those dash abilities, and then they manage to get the burst on Techno JJ, and Techno JJ, you might be out of position.
Just a little bit. Trying to lay down damage onto Mowgli. We do see a Bonesaw completed for Palmator as his second item. So much armor being completed from the side of Dynasty. This double weapon power composition from Fnatic. Very easily countered with those metal jackets and atlases. Oh my goodness, PT Lamb, 4 broken myth stacks, and he's starting to do a huge amount of damage. Dynasty want to re-engage. Techno JJ ready to welcome them through the door. Here comes Palmator as well. They stun up Rikomeza. The PT Lamb safe. Diving around, the Chakram rips through. 1 kill, 2. It's Dynasty winning, and Net2Let, the last man standing, may just be able to escape. It's Kraken time for Dynasty, and PT Lamb wants a choke point turret as well.
Fnatic's composition got opened up by that initial poke coming out of PT Lamb. The CP Idris is doing solid amounts of damage. They were able to get 2 or 3 chakrams plus plenty of auto attacks. He does have the broken myth, so there would have been some broken myth stacks in there. That's going to be the ace coming through. They managed to pick up the additional kill. They've got the Kraken, and this is all looking really good for Dynasty.
Certainly is, and Fnatic, will they even contest this Kraken is the question. It's going down so quickly. They might be able to speed their way over, but it's just too risky, I think. They've already lost Net2Let. Dynasty making things work here. The burst that comes out of Rikomeza, like Araki Zoro pointed out, when he does X-Retsu onto Jewel, he's behind her. He can proc the extra damage that heroic perk kind of defends from. Bonus defensive stats when the damage comes from the front end, but if it comes from behind, it does even more. The armor's just not there. Forward-facing armor on this hero, and now Dynasty looking to push in for a win.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Rikomeza is going to dash my hopes and crush my dreams of seeing a spell sword. It looks like it's going to be just normal on-hit Taka. You've got that armor pen, is now working towards a Storm Crown, and I'll be a little bit sad about that, but this game looks very, very good for the side of Dynasty. They block out the From Hell's Heart.
Huge Crucible comes from Mowgli, and look at this, Rikomeza just going on in. It's Palmator struggling. Techno JJ almost one more auto attack through the Duke, but he jumps away. Palmator will go down. They find 1 kill, and now it's the turrets they're focusing on. Mowgli to go forward and stop Techno JJ from getting in with a bright bulwark, and it looks like it's all over here for Fnatic. It's just the Vein Crystal left. The Kraken, she's at half HP, and Techno JJ, he is almost straight up dead. They've done it, Dynasty. The Taka from Rikomeza, a secret pocket pick, I think, from him that he's been holding on to, and it works so well.
Damage, stealth, and the mortal wounds. I thought that Grace was going to be great in 2.8. Now that there's less healing, her healing is more valuable, but it's just so difficult for any of the healing to come through. The fountain